Welcome to Her Story of Success, a podcast featuring stories from influential women trailblazers and business leaders who have defined and pursued their own versions of success and fulfillment. We hope these stories, lessons learned, and celebrations inspire you to believe in yourself and enjoy your own journey a little bit more. I'm Leah Glover Hayes, your host and CEO of Her Story of Success Women's Business Collective. On today's show, I have the pleasure of interviewing Lori Allen. Lori is the founder of Bridals by Lori, star of Say Yes to the Dress Atlanta, and Say Yes to the Dress Bridesmaids. And most recently, she is the author of Say Yes to What's Next. In the 40 years since she's opened Bridals by Lori, Lori has grown her business to become an international success that's built a reputation as one of the world's top experts in bridal couture. Lori is obviously an incredible example of a successful woman business owner, but I especially admired how open she was about building her company little by little, from less than 1,000 square foot studio to now over a 25,000 square foot bridal salon. And I love that she shared some of the struggles she's faced along her journey. In our conversation together, Lori talks about battling breast cancer, raising kids while running a business, and keeping her marriage healthy throughout big life transitions. Before we jump into the conversation, I do want to let you know that this was recorded as part of a live event series I hosted with Insperity back in August. We're still doing these every month, and if you would like to be a part of these virtual meetings where you get to network with some amazing women like Lori, please visit us and sign up for our upcoming events at herstoryofsuccess.com/events. Lori, welcome. We are so excited to have you. And I would just love to have you start with this book. So we all know that you have Say Yes to the Dress, but share with us why did you write this book and who is it for?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I mean, what an honor it is to speak to other women in business because that's who I am and where I come from. So this is the perfect platform for me. And I admire you for doing this and getting women together to discuss things. Say Yes to What's Next evolved from a lot of people asking me when I turned 60, which was last year. I'm 61 now. And when I turned 60, several people started asking me when I was going to retire. And I'm thinking, what? I mean, it really took the breath and the wind out of me. And I'm thinking, I have so much to offer. I have such a wealth of knowledge in my business that no one else has. And I'm not near ready for that. And then it started making me mad. I'm like, would you ask that of a man? And why would you assume that at age 60 that I was going to put a sweater on and go on a rocker at the Cracker Barrel? That's not happening, girls. I mean, I'm no way. Anyway, so I'm taking a shower. I'm getting madder and madder. I call my daughter. She has her own company also. She's got a marketing company. And I'm like, Molly, I want to write a book. And she's like, well, what do you want your book to be about, Mom? And I said, women over 50, women in general, because I want to reach all women, but I specifically want to reach the demographic of women over 50 and how important it is to say yes to what's next and how to just stop and take a moment in our lives and figure out if we really have passion and if we're truly happy with where our life is going. And that's kind of how the book evolved. Molly supported me 110%. And I went to her company and I'm like, let's just lock ourselves in a room. I took 3 days off work and I said, we made the outline. We came up with the first chapter. I turned it into my agent who turned it into a booking agent, and it sold in no time. So I think the book was meant to be. And I think the message, more importantly, is so prevalent right now because with COVID and all of us having to slow down, I think we've all at this point in time taken a step back and said, you know, life's changing, everything's changing, but we cannot give up. we have to keep moving forward and going forward and saying yes to what's next.
I love it. And you're so right. Like, we all have so much more to give. I love that you are focused on that. And I get the privilege of interviewing women over 50 all the time. And I feel like there's just this energy right now of women that are like owning it, saying, yes, I have so much experience. I have so much knowledge. I have so much to give. And my time is valuable, and it's worth it for me to continue to learn how to make money while I'm helping other people. So I love that. Let's go back. A lot of us are business owners on this. I have a new, I call it my baby business. I've been in business for a couple of years. Share with us, take us back to when you started Bridals by Lori, because there were not as many women business owners back in the day as there are today. So can you share with us a little bit about what that looked like when you said you wanted to start a business? Was everybody supportive? Did you get all the funding you needed? What did that look like getting started back 40 years ago?
Yeah. So this December will be my 40th year in business. I went to an all-girls college in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm actually a business major, not a fashion merchandising major, not a design major, a business major. And my father pushed me into that respect. And I really do appreciate that, because I understand the business side of owning a retail store also. And I stand on the shoulders of my parents, because they are the ones that believed in me. I could not get any funding. Are you kidding? I'm a 21-year-old graduate of college, and nobody, I mean, they're not going to say, hey, Lori, here's $50,000 or $40,000, which is what I started the store with. And here you go, girl, you go for it. I had to go to family. And all along, I knew I wanted to own my own business. I knew I did. I've got that personality. I knew that I'm a leader. And I knew that I could become even a better leader. And so my parents strongly believed in me. They lent me $40,000, and I repaid it as soon as I could, and put pretty much every dime back into the business for years. And I tell many people this, and it's also in my book. For years, I took $100 a week out of the store. Now, you may say, how did you even survive, Lori? Well, that $100 a week went towards childcare, which I felt very guilty about also. And I know all of y'all are working moms out there. I've been there, trust me. I've dropped them off and cried the whole way, and then come back and they're happy as all get out. But I've been there. I've been through it. And I know the guilt that we have as women. And so my parents trusted in me and believed in me, and I kept reinvesting in myself and my business. Now, many times I could have given up, because it took a long time. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't start, I wasn't on Say Yes until I was 50. But by the time I was in my later 40s and mid 40s, I had figured it out. I had figured out how to save enough money to buy my own building. And that building was the building we have before this building. And I figured out that people would come and shop and do destination shopping. Like if you had a very large selection, you would be all they needed to see, rather than going to all these little boutiques. So we did that. And then I evolved into this building now. Now, the building now that I have is 25,000 square feet. So it's 25 times the size of what I started out in.
Let's talk about that, about growth and how that looked. So you said that you were a late bloomer, but you started your business in your 20s, and then you were on Say Yes to the Dress until you said 50.
50. Yeah.
What did growth look like for you in the beginning? Like, when did you reach the point where you said, you know what, this is going well? And what did that process look like of growth and getting to the place that you could buy your own building?
I think that I've always been a saver. And like I said, I've always invested in myself. I felt like in order to grow the business, I had to have the cash there to be able to do things. So I put the money back into the business, everything I could. And I moved slowly. And success like I have now does not happen overnight. And I tell younger women that all the time. You cannot come into this business and open a 25,000 square foot store and expect it to just be able to do this. I'm so thankful that I started out small, like I did, 1,000 square feet, and grew slowly. The 1,000 square foot store, then I was renting that, that was leased space. Then I moved into a 3,500 square foot store. And then I had 2 stores in strip centers. And then I had saved enough money to buy my own building. So I bought a 7,500 square foot building in Sandy Springs. And then this building became available that I absolutely loved and I had always wanted. And I really knew deep in my heart it should be the home of Bridals by Lori. And I bought that building in the year 2000.
I love the fact that you said you grew slowly. So like you grew into who you are today. And I know that you mentor other women and you love talking to other business owners. When you mentor other business owners, whether it's retail or really any kind of company, what are some of those foundational things that you did as a business owner that helped you get to that place? Like where did you put your focus? Was it on your employees? Was it on sales? Was it on marketing? Was it on product? Like where was your first and what continued through of where your focus was to really grow your business?
Yeah, I think to grow my business, like the first and foremost thing is you've got to surround yourself with a team of fantastic people. Now that takes a while and you're going to have bad apples and they've got to go, and you've got to keep that good core team of people that believe in you and believe in your mission and believe in what your heart is. And I have got the best group working with me that, I trust with my baby because my store is my baby. But I lead by example. I would never ask anyone in my business to do anything that I would not do myself. So they see me out there on the floor, on the weekends, talking to customers, helping our managers with problems, working with gowns that are late coming in. They see me doing it all. I wear many hats. Many hats, and the financial side of it.
Yeah.
But that combined together and the leadership and the respect that I have for them and they have for me has formed a really good core team at Bridals by Lori. So I'm fortunate.
I love that. Well, you're fortunate because you take care of your people. So
Yeah.
there is that. You're a good leader and a good teammate yourself. That's why you have a good team. But and we all know anyone that's had a business for a year to 10 years, we've seen ups and downs. And this crisis that we're in now is definitely unprecedented. But you've seen a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
So can you share with us some of the lessons that you've learned having a business for so long and being able to have confidence when you come up to things like COVID or the recession? Like, what is it that you've learned along the way that's helped you be able to weather the storms?
Well, I've learned that my energy resonates through the entire staff. So I'm the head cheerleader of Bridals by Lori. And whoever you are, the leader of your company, you are the head pom-pom girl, I want to say, because you've got to keep the spirit up and the energy up at the store. There are going to be bad times. I mean, there was the recession of 2008. I've been through that. I've been through 9/11. Now we have this pandemic. There are all sorts of things that's going to happen. I mean, I've also had breast cancer and I fell flat on my face on national TV last season. So there's going to be things that are going to happen personally and professionally. But they got to know, your staff has to know that they can count on you because they look to you. And my energy affects the whole business. So I don't come in like, oh my gosh, here's another pandemic day. We've got to put on these masks, even though I hate wearing them. I can't breathe. But we've got to wear these masks and this is driving me crazy and da-da-da-da-da. There's no need for all that. Nobody wants to wear that mask. Nobody wants to be at home right now. And yes, everybody's gained 5 and 10 pounds. I've heard it all. All the dresses are fitting tight. We've been through it. But, you got to be the leader. You're in charge. They look to you. And when people look to you for advice and for spirit, You have to be the head person that they respect. It's the bottom line.
Absolutely. You talked about going through breast cancer. I want to touch on that for a moment. That rocks anyone's world, but
Yeah.
you're a business owner and you have all of these things and all of this weight and pressure and responsibility on you. What did that look like when you found out? How did you shift and adjust so that you could either take a step back or lead from the place that you needed to?
If it would have happened 10 years earlier, it would have been much more difficult. But you got to remember, as a business owner, you got to be building this team of people that can be there for you, that you rely on, that if you were to have a health crisis or your parents were to have a health crisis, that you can take a step back and somebody can step in for you. It's not you, of course, but they love your business just like you do. That is the kind of people that you have to surround yourself with. Now, in 2012, I was diagnosed with 2 forms of breast cancer. I was filming Say Yes to the Dress Atlanta, the bridal version, and then I was filming Say Yes to the Dress Bridesmaids on our main floor and the bridal on our upper floor. I mean, I was crazy busy. And these sort of things happen to us when we're crazy busy. And when you are just at the top, when you've worked so hard and everything's going your way, something like this happens, and it does to everybody. We all have issues and things that happen to us, whether it be us or our parents or our children. And you've got to be able to step back, and you've got to be able to take care of yourself first. Because if I'm not healthy, Lori, I'm not doing any good to the store at all. Now, was it scary? Yes, it was. And was I out a long time? Yes, probably 3 months. I mean, and did I come back and I was not too good? No. I couldn't even raise my arm. I ended up having a double mastectomy. So I couldn't even raise my arms, and I had a lot of therapy and, physical therapy and all that. But my staff just came right in there and just picked right up, for me. And the prayers from people all over the world, our show is shown in 120 countries. I had prayers from everybody. But I did let TLC film my journey. And my daughter talked me into that. And at first I'm like, no, they see enough of me. And she says, you have this huge platform, Mom, of women that watch your show and business owners. And they want to see how you handle this. And you need to share this story.
Yeah, because you give so much inspiration to other people, right? Because other women have gone through this.
Yes.
Babette Stewart said that she got diagnosed with breast cancer and then she went and worked for a nonprofit that helps cancer patients, and that there's always a plan. God's always got a plan. I want to touch on what it looks like growing a business and a family at the same time. For you, in the height of you growing your business is you also growing your family. What did that look like for you and your husband? And maybe what were some of those conversations for you to be able to ask for help and support?
It's difficult. I'm not going to say it's not. It's very difficult to grow your business, to live your dream, because this was my dream, to have a bridal shop and for it to be successful. And I wasn't going to let that die. But always so important, and even more important to me, was my children, of course, and raising good human beings. That was so important to me, as it is to every mom out there, and I know it. But I'm living proof that you can raise good human beings and work, because I will put my children up against anybody's children. They're both successful business owners, and they have families now, and they are doing great. And I tell women that all the time. I think we are so hard on each other. Now, as far as growing the business and raising children, it's difficult, and sometimes I would have to take a few days off because the nanny would leave, or Molly would be mean to the nanny and she's out, or Corey would knock a baseball through the window and then the nanny would leave. I went through lots of them. And I went through a lot of guilt too, as all moms do. I did. I think you feel guilty if you stay home, and you feel guilty if you go to work. It's just a guilt thing, and we've got to realize it and embrace it. And we do need to be kinder to each other, whether you're an at-home mom working every day and homeschooling, or you're going to work and outside the home and trying to raise children. But you've got to cut yourself a break because in the end, they're going to turn out good. I mean, I'll put them up against anybody. And my friends that worked also, that was a great support system to me because I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. And they've got to go to ballet and they have to go to soccer and they'd be in the same boat. So to form a support group is very important, I think. As far as growing the business, my husband was integral in this. We are very much a team. And I think you have to have that in marriage. And that's a big chapter in my book. But he was very supportive of me also. So I would go, I'd be there and then he would be there and we would jiggle and figure it out. And my kids, they didn't know any different because I always worked. I had Bridals by Lori was my first child. Then I had Molly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. I say that too. I'm 38. I don't care to tell my age. And people are always like, when are you going to have kids? I'm like, I have one. Her name is Her Story of Success. She's beautiful.
There you go.
She needs a lot of my attention right now.
She needs a lot of attention. She needs a lot of love. And you can't really get away from her.
Right. I love it. One of the things that you talk about in your book that I'm really passionate about also is women understanding financial literacy or gaining financial literacy. Can we talk for a minute about why you put that in there and what you want women to understand about learning about financial literacy for themselves and for their businesses?
I'm absolutely astounded at the number of women that don't know what their Social Security is going to be, don't know if they have proper insurance, don't know how much taxes they pay, do not know what their property taxes are, just basic things. I mean, it blows my mind. We as women cannot bury our heads in the sand about these issues. And, after 50, which the book's kind of geared to, but like I said, to all women, because I'm preaching it to all women. But after 50, sometimes our spouse is not here any longer. And what are you going to do? Now's the time more than ever to take control of this. I mean, we're all at home a little bit more now. What should you be doing? You should be seeing how much life insurance you have. You should be checking on your 401k. Do you have a pension? All these things are so important. There needs to be a document that everything is listed if something happens to your spouse that you can go straight to and you're not going to come unglued. I mean, you need to take control. We are smart here, women. We are way smarter than that. Now, my mother's generation, a lot of them, my mother included, I hope she's not watching, but, they turned it all over to my dad or all over to the man. And that is over. That needs to be over. Because even now, my mom says, I don't know what I'm going to do if something happens to your dad. I don't want to be in that situation. I want to be able to take care of Lori.
Yeah. I mean, and the statistics are, I don't know this, but it's so high, the rate of women. And Alexis just said she's a CPA and she sees so many women that become widows just starting to learn about finances. I'm sure Becky Daniels sees it too.
Yes.
One of the things that I know I'm interested in, and I know everyone else is too, but tell us again about, for anyone that doesn't already know, how you got started on TLC. So how did Say Yes to the Dress happen? This is so, I don't know. I mean, you've had it for so long, but it's still so exciting to be like, did they come to you? Did you submit? Like, what did that look like? How fun. I just want to hear about your relationship with your best friend and all of that.
It's so fun. They actually approached us. We got a phone call. I had been approached before the New York show aired, and I got a phone call from a production company. And I'm like, what? They're like, we want to do a reality show in Bridal. Now, this shows you that I wasn't thinking clear. And maybe it wasn't my time also. And they're like, we want to do a show. And I don't know if you saw any of the original shows out of New York, but it was very much back room and arguing with the employees and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I just didn't like that at all. I said, no, thank you. Turn that down. So then the show evolved over about a couple of years, the New York version, into being about the dress. Say yes to the dress, not about say yes to all this mess going on back behind the scenes. So we got another phone call, and they called and they said, would you be interested in shooting a pilot for Say Yes to the Dress? And I said, yeah, because I liked the way the show was going then. I said, this is really good now. It's about dresses and it's about families and it's about what we deal with every day. Because this is reality. This is real. What you see of me on TV is the real Lori.
It aligned with your mission and who you are. So I love that you said it's about timing. It wasn't your time because it wasn't something that aligned with you. Then, I'm sure that you got to see it more. And then once it aligned with who you were, you're like, yes. I think that's an important lesson for people of when you're approached with something, if it doesn't feel right, it's maybe not a no, it's maybe a not right now. So what did it look like once they approached you and you're like, oh, this sounds really good? And I do want to say, you already had a successful business.
We had grown and evolved. I was there before Say Yes. I was successful before I got the television show. The television show was gravy on the biscuit. It was the cherry on top of the whipped cream. I had worked so hard, and we were in this building, and this beautiful brand new building was there. So anyway, they approached me about this. I said, yeah, I'll shoot a pilot. So I called my best friend, which is Monty Durham. We have been best of friends, and I think you can see that on the show, for years. And I said, Monty, they have asked me to shoot a pilot. Will you come down? Monty and I have always had this, we give each other a hard time. So we've always had this banter between us.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And I'm like, I can't do this show without you, Monty. So will you come down and will you shoot this with me? So Jen Holbach, who was our producer, she came in on a Saturday. Monty and I were just giving each other a hard time. We just played and had fun. And they took it back to TLC, and we were greenlit like in a couple of weeks. And that's the story of how we got started. Now, you do have to have a large store in order to shoot a television show. Most of our brides are shot in the morning. As you can see, there's not a lot of people walking around. And you can tell when we open up, because you're going to start seeing on the screen people walking around and that sort of thing. But most of our brides are shot early in the morning. You've got the production crew there, which is 8 or 10 people. You got hair and makeup, because Lord knows I need it. And you got all that other factors into place. Plus you have the bride and her entourage. And we have a room where they do the pickup interviews. So all that you got to have space for all this. It can't be shot in that 1,000 square foot store. So it's almost like God's plan was meant for me to have this larger store and then get this television show. It was that perfect timing of me not giving up, me hanging in there and working hard. And then it came to be.
I love it. One of the things you talked about was, your husband and you being like partners, and he's right in there with it. And you talk about avoiding gray divorce in your book.
Yes.
What does that mean? And what's your message around avoiding gray divorce? What did you learn?
Well, I think as all of us age, and I want to even let's go back. As we have children, we all are running back and forth. We're going to work. We're going to ballet. We've got to go to soccer. We've got to go to the baseball field. I've done it all. I've been there. We've got to take the child to the dentist and then to the orthodontist. You barely even see your spouse. I mean, you are lucky to see each other for 30 minutes a day. That's just kind of how it goes. And we get through it together. We may meet for dinner or whatever occasionally, but that's just kind of how our lives go. And then this child grows up and goes in maybe to high school, and they start having friends, and you start seeing less and less of them, and you become kind of unimportant. And they still love you and need you back there, but you're not quite their whole world. And then they go off to college, and pretty much when they go to college, they're not coming back home. So gray divorce starts happening, and that is where we really don't know our partner anymore. We have drifted apart, and we each have our own individual lives, and we're not meeting in the middle anymore. And I don't want that to happen for us. We have to rediscover our laughter, because somewhere along the way, our joy and our laughter has gotten pushed to the side, and we don't value each other anymore. And you've got to find the reason why you married this person to begin with anyway. And I think all that is just part of turning 50. You have to rediscover your marriage. You do. It's work. It's never going to be easy. I say that in my book. It's not a fairy tale. Marriage is not a fairy tale. I see the bride over and over again. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so perfect. And I'm just going to stay home and have babies. And I'm not going to I'm just going to not work. And everything's going to be perfect in my life. That's not how you got to approach this. You have to approach this as this is work too. You've got work, and then this is work too. And you have to make time for your husband and your relationship together. You really, really do.
I just appreciate you being honest. I appreciate you being honest about the journey, about it's not a fairy tale, but obviously it's still beautiful. We got to meet your husband right before you jumped on, and he is just a delight. And my husband's the same way. I couldn't do what I do without him. And I am a strong, independent businesswoman. I'm not with him because I need him. I'm with him because I like him and I enjoy him.
Because you want to be.
Because I want to be. And so I love that you're honest about that in the different stages of your life, of your business, of your marriage, of your parenting together. And then all of those stages. I just appreciate the way that you break that down and are honest about it. We have Anna Lee on the call who's recently engaged. So exciting. And then, a few of us that have been married for a few years. And then, there's a lot of folks like you that have been married for a long time or that, that have gotten divorced and are, congratulations because you needed to. So there's all kinds. But I think that it's important for us to all to be honest about our own journey, right? And saying, like, it takes work, whatever it looks like.
I mean, I'm not saying to stay in a relationship that does not make you happy and happy. But, most of the time, you've married them for a reason, and you've got to get back to that teamwork aspect. Absolutely. It takes two.
There's a couple of things you also talk about. You talk about the importance of finding and keeping friends, and also the good kind of PMS. And so as women that are business owners and we're busy and we're stretched, I love that you focus on friendships and how that's so important. And also, taking care of I guess some people call it self-care, but I like that you call it the good PMS, physical, mental, and spiritual health. So share with us a little bit about how that's looked in your journey and the importance it is.
Totally being honest here, which I am in the book also. I mean, I'm just a straight shooter. So everything that is real in my life is real in the book too.
That's why we love you.
Yeah. And I feel like as I have gotten older, I am taking back my time again. I do. I'm claiming me back. And I'm not all perfect either. Sometimes I start feeling guilty, like you need to get to work. Don't go work out. I hate working out, by the way. I hate sweating, but I do it, but I hate it. Anyway, and like you don't need to go work out today, Lori. You need to get to that shop, or you don't need to read that devotional today, Lori. You got to get busy. You got stuff to do. But I am reclaiming me. And that makes me a better person. And I know it does. I feel better when I work out. I'm healthier. And I'm patting myself on the back for getting through it. And then the devotional helps me so much. Just adjusting my mind, taking time for myself. And then I look back and I think, why haven't I been doing this all along? Why haven't I? And I could have taken 30 minutes for myself every day, or however long I'm going to take. And I could have done that, but I didn't. And I'm sorry that I didn't now, and I think having breast cancer really, when you have a health concern, really makes you stop and start reclaiming yourself and reclaiming your life. And as far as the friendship goes, I talk a lot in the book about how my friends are probably not your normal friends. I have a lot of designer friends, a lot of friends just from all over the world because of what I do. And I have girlfriends also, but some of my best friends in the world are men like Monty Durham, so your friends can wear many hats. Don't just shy away from somebody because you think, oh, that doesn't fit into my mold, because there's really you've got to embrace everyone in this world. And they can become some of your best friends ever.
What does say yes to what's next? What does that mean to you? And maybe can you share what that looks like? What does that look like in your life right now?
So say yes to what's next means to me, for me right now, that I want to motivate and inspire other women. I've been doing it for 40 years. I've been motivating women for 40 years. Yes, you look good in that dress, girl. Yes, your booty looks good in that dress. Yes, you can own that. I've been doing it for years. And I've also been motivating her mother, because her mother is the one that needs it more than anybody. The mother has given and given and given, and I see it over and over again. She's like, you get my baby anything. My baby deserves anything on this floor. And then she comes time for her dress and she's like, I've let myself go. I just really don't. I don't deserve anything. I mean, it just breaks my heart to see that. So I want to motivate and inspire her to live this. I call it a cookie. Life's a cookie, if you saw it in the book. And this last quarter or next quarter of her cookie, I want her to eat that down to the last crumb. I want her grandchildren and her children to say, my Nana or my Bella, that's what I am, is amazing. She is absolutely fantastic. And I want her to feel that way about herself also.
I think that's so beautiful. You inspire me. So I'm so excited to have you. And the last question I always ask my guest is, what does success mean to you today? Because to your point, we go through different seasons, and I'm a different person today than I was 5 years ago. And hopefully I'll be a different woman than I am today in 5 years. So in this season that you're in today, what does success mean to you?
Success to me right now means that I am happy within me, that I love Lori, and it takes a while to really love yourself and embrace yourself and to look forward to your future. So that's my version of success, for Lori to just keep on tearing it up, to keep going after her goals, and to keep setting goals and not resting on her laurels. I just want to encourage every woman out there to just stop, because we have time now to stop. Life's a little bit slower. We're all home more. We all have more time to stop and look at ourselves and look truly at our heart and make sure that we are happy with where we're going and going forward. Just stop and just reevaluate, because we all have time to do it. And you certainly have time to change things now if you want to. So definitely say yes to your future and say yes to what's next.
Thank you so much, Lori, for I'm so just grateful for you for showing up today, for empowering women for the last 40 years, not just for brides, for moms, but for all women. I just appreciate who you are as a woman, as a business leader, and I just appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for joining me. To subscribe, click the circular icon, and to watch the latest episode, click the video on the right. If you listen to podcasts, check out Her Story of Success on your favorite podcast platform. See you next time.